So at Big Ten Media Days, might get a little animated. Ryan Day, if you saw on the YouTube, my microphone shook a little bit. Ryan Day stated his expectation for the Ohio State defense. Now, we talk about why the standard needs to be high at Ohio State, and we will not shy away from that, and it will continue to be a topic of conversation here on this year podcast to keep the standard high at the Ohio State University. Well, Ryan Day, in his statement, while answering a question and discussing his expectation for the Buckeyes defense, Ryan Day stated he expects Ohio State to have a top 10 defense. I'll say it again for you, because some of y'all might have thought, did I really just hear that come out of Jake's mouth? Yes, you did. Ryan Day, the head coach of the Buckeyes, stated that he expects the Buckeyes to have a top 10 defense. You look at the talent. Many of you follow recruiting to a T. You know where kids are from, how many schools they have played at. You know how many awards they have, how many state championships they've won. Some of y'all know their stats. Some of you know the stats of the players. Some of you know how players have progressed. I made a comment and just really reiterated what Ryan Day has stated about DeJuan Jones losing weight. And somebody copped into YouTube comments and said, DeJuan said he lost X amount of pounds. Hey, look, y'all are really, really knowledgeable people. So when you hear somebody say Ryan Day expects the Buckeye defense to be a top 10 defense, you might say, hold up. I've been saying timeout a lot lately. Some of y'all might even say, y'all need to run that back because that'll make no sense to me. But honestly, what's the problem with Ryan Day expecting this? Wouldn't you think if Ryan Day expects the offense to be at a certain level and he raises the level of expectation for the defense? We have seen Ryan Day raise a level of expectation, on the offense. We have seen him raise the level of expectation for the offense and kept it there. Now, last year was a little bit different, made some weird coaching moves, which kind of derailed the running game. But outside of that, the passing game has been at that tier that Ryan Day wanted. Now, last year, you could say Day was a little bit of a hiccup. Yes, Stroud had not thrown a college pass, and he had not started a game for the Buckeyes, so you would expect certain things to happen. But honestly, think about this. Keeping the standard high at offense, raising it and keeping it there, standing it there, it's pretty good. On the defensive side of the ball, it's going to take some work. It's going to be really some intense recruiting. It's going to be some intense practices, some intense weight training sessions, but ultimately, it's not the end of the world, and ultimately, it does make a lot of sense. And it's realistic if a few things happen. If you get better play from all four players on the defensive line, your nose tackle, your one technique, your D tackle, your three technique, your 2D ends, no matter if it's one hand on the ground, 1 2-point stance, two that are in a two that are in a 3-point stance, or if both D ends are in a 2-point stance, stand up on either side of the line, you need better D-line play. You also need better linebacker play. Now, Still Chambers, Tommy Eichenberg, those are two good linebackers. Are they ready to take the next step in their play and development as an Ohio State linebacker? That's what we're going to see. We get reports from fall camp here very, very soon, which starts later this week. But we're also going to see in game 1, game 2, game 3, how their mindset is, how their conditioning is, how their play is, how their physicality is. All of those things are coming. But then when you add in the back end of the defense, you have to get solid play from the corners. I believe Denzel Burke and Cam Brown are ready to be solid corners for the Buckeyes. You need Tanner McAllister to not only be a good leader on the field, but to also be somebody that can be that nickel corner, somewhat of that safety as well. That can change things, muddy things up the view for the quarterback and the offense that can confuse them. Then you add in Josh Proctor and Ronnie Hickman and how they are playing the football. And Ronnie Hickman's excited to play football. He's glad he's a leader at Ohio State. You need a lot of things. You need some backups that can come in and keep the standard high when they're on the field. You also need coaches that are all on the same page. I'll go back to the 2015 season. That was the most puzzling thing from the coaching-wise. Coaching of Ohio State offensively, where some things just didn't make sense. Some decisions didn't make sense, but they were still made. Yes, the Buckeyes can have a top 10 defense this year. Also, here's one thing. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this one. Then we're going to close up shop discussing Ryan Day's expectation for the Buckeyes defense of 2022. The players have to be more physical. Yes, the players have to be more physical. Many of you remember at the end of the 2022, 23, whatever year they want to call it, the national championship, 2021 or 2022, whatever it is. I jumped a year, not trying to. The national championship game, I talked about the difference between Alabama and Georgia's defenses in that game and how they looked and how they played all year long. Well, we've heard about Mickey Mariotti and the offseason workouts that he's put the Buckeye players through. We have heard about how the players have responded to said workouts. We have even heard Ryan Day talk about what he thinks and how he sees and how he looks at the players, what he sees from the players when he observes how they're working out. That has to carry through. That has to be something that carries through the entirety of the season. It can't be game 1, game 2, game 3. The physicality, the toughness is higher than it was last year. It can't be that they are playing harder and they're in better shape than game 4, game 5, game 6. Get to the bye week, then the back half of the season, things just fizzle out. The players, not just having to be better, they got to be more physical. They have to be tougher. Those things go hand in hand. Ryan Day expects a top 10 defense from the Buckeyes. I'm a person. I need to see a few things against some really good opponents, not just early in the season and in the middle, until I buy into this being a reality. However, one thing I do know is this. The Buckeyes have talent to raise level of play at every position, D tackle, D end, linebacker, and in the secondary. But the coaches have to play the right players. If the coaches don't play the right players, forget it. Forget it. Having a top 10 defense, expecting it, and not doing the things to make sure you would get what you expect. Y'all, my goodness. If those things happen, if those things don't happen, you're going to see a lot of disgruntled fans. I'll be on here on the podcast discussing why the Buckeye defense is not playing up to the standard that Ryan Day has set.